So for the ones that are not in the previous session, this is Ilayda once again, and I'm leading the business operations in Turkey and also in the MENA region for Xsolla. I work for several edtech companies and also for publishers for years, and had a chance to experience different aspects in the gaming industry. So once again, come free to say hello, and I would be happy to discuss anything related to gaming. So let's start. Today we are going to discuss new revenue stream models for mobile games, and we are going to take a look at what Webshop is. Webshop is one of our game commerce solutions and one of the best ways of maximizing transactions, which leads to more and more revenue. Do we have a clicker here? Okay. I believe that's not a clicker, but you can skip it. Is it?
Yeah, it's supposed to work.
Okay, perfect. This one? Oh, sorry for the delay. So to give you a little bit of background about our company, Xsolla is an international game commerce company that has a powerful set of tools and solutions that are specifically designed for video games industry. As Xsolla, we help developers and publishers of all sizes to solve complexities of global distribution, marketing, and monetization so that our partners can focus on their products, improve their engagement, and grow their audience. By benefiting from our solutions, you can sell directly to more users, better engage, and better manage your user behavior data, increase payment reach and operations, as we are supporting more than 700 payment methods all over the world. And of course, you can generate more revenue with higher margins. I wanted to start by highlighting these functions because we believe that maximizing mobile game revenue became particularly relevant with our solutions since last year. Last year, for the first time ever, we saw that mobile game market has shrank. Reasons very obvious. First, people are spending less time playing video games and got back to their old habits due to post-pandemic. And then second, we have the inflation, and inflation makes people less willing to spend money on anything, including mobile games. And then there were some changes in platform rules and regulations like IDFA and app tracking transparency, which make it even more expensive for developers to acquire new users and retain and monetize existing ones. So it gets really, really hard for developers and publishers to acquire users with a low cost and increase their revenue metrics. And that makes developers to think about the new ways that can generate revenue with a more cost-effective way. Luckily, we now see that some platforms are changing their rules and guidelines, and they started to allow side-loading and third-party payment methods. On the other hand, despite the negative picture we have in the industry right now, we are anticipating that the mobile gaming market will be doubled within the next 3 years. So that means there is still opportunity for you to grow. And the question becomes, how can you continue to grow and still generate extra revenue? And the answer is quite simple, with Webshop. So we see that Webshop has become a and started to be applied by so many different sizes of developers and publishers. The reason, because this is the most cost-effective way to maximize your transactions from your existing players. Yes, from your existing players. That means no extra marketing spend and no unnecessary gameplay changes to boost LTV. On top of this, one of the main reasons why more and more developers and publishers are turning to web shops is that the way how it boosts your metrics. We see that webshop increases the average number of purchases a player makes within a month. It increases to average number of 6. Webshop has an incredibly high conversion rate into the purchase. It's around 80. And it boosts your RPU because there are no pricing limits. And your users are willing to spend more money because of the value you are sharing with them on the webshop. So, we just talked about how webshop boosts your metrics, and before sharing more practices on how, I would like you to get familiar with what webshop looks like. Webshop is actually a white label digital store where your players can make a purchase of in-game goods and where they can top up their accounts from your own branded website. So let's watch a video of webshop to better understand the user flow. Oops. Can you guys play it from there? Okay. Not the ideal way, but... So this is your social network. Your users get directed to your web shop. They log in with the authentication method of your preferences. They claim a free gift. Everybody loves free gifts. Then they start to explore their web shop, your catalog of goods, and they choose an item they're interested in. After that, they are able to complete their purchase with the selected payment method of their choice, as we are supporting many, many payment methods. So, it was actually not very clear, but when you watch it again later on, you'll see that it's fast, it's smooth, and it has very few and easy steps for your users to take the purchase. So, when you consider that ease, that means that you already have the game, you already built the catalog of goods with a solid game economy, of course, and now you have the web shop. So that means that you already have everything to generate that extra revenue. So how do we do it, and why do players prefer to use web shop? It's because the added value. You provide them something more valuable compared to the mobile, and they are willing to spend more money on the web shop because of that extra value. So good for your players, there is added value. So what's in it for you? What is more? By just transferring 30 to 40% of your sales to web shop, you immediately generate extra revenue because you're saving from your platform fees, 30% platform fees. So that means with Xsolla web shop, you only pay 5% in fees, which leaves you 25% more revenue in return. And we know that people and players, they have a tendency to spend more on web shops. So that means by transferring 30 to 40% of your sales to web shop, you are going to get 25% more for every purchase. And we know it by experience, we know it by data. So let's check some other data. 40 to 60% of your first-time visitors will make a purchase. 60% of these users will come back and make another purchase. And we know that the average number of purchases is 6, so it is going to be doubled and doubled and doubled. And not surprisingly, but the immense amount of revenue boost comes from your whales. So we know that your dolphins and whales have a tendency to spend a lot in your web shop. And they are really, really getting the offers, buying the offers that are about like $100 and more. And that's the reason why more and more publishers and developers are starting to launch their online stores. And it's becoming a really real global hit. So we work with many companies from indies to mid-tier and to enterprise companies, and we launched more than 100 web shops since last year. Many of them already had achieved great success, and some of them struggled. So we had some learnings from their experiences, and by analyzing these 100 web shops, we came up with some best practices to help you ensure a successful web shop launch. So, all right, let's start with some do's and don'ts. First pair of do's and don'ts comes about the most crucial thing, building the web shop awareness. Yes, of course, you have to let your users know about your web shop. That is something new. So don't limit your promotions to a one-time announcement, but do repeat promotions across multiple channels to increase your players' awareness. This is a new monetization channel, and yes, just like you may be, your players can be skeptical and wonder why they would choose web shop instead of directly paying in the game. You have to understand they might be skeptical, and you have to let them know that this web shop is something really official, that is a part of your marketing strategy, that is a new monetization channel of yours, and that has extra generated value for your players. And how do we show that value to our players comes from with the second pair of do's and don'ts. So you have to clearly communicate the value with your users, which means don't sell directly same in-game catalog items with your game, but do differ it with some bonuses, promotions, exclusive offers, and incentives so that you are showing that your web shop has something really added value. And that added value could be something like a free gift, as we just saw in the video. It could be an exclusive offer for the first-time visitor. It could be a loyalty program for a repeated visitor. It could be something like VIP packages or high currency packages for your whales. But while trying to create value for our players, there are some things that you should be really careful about and do not rely very often. For example, definitely only rely on discounts, and definitely do not give a negative impression of your in-game catalog store. First, it is prohibited by stores, and second, you can really damage your in-game economy. If you're discounting on the web shop and if you're keeping the prices same on your game store, then you're basically competing against your own. Instead, what you can do is that coming up with something very special, something very exclusive, that would feel more personal for your players. For example, it could be something like this currency pack. If you are providing 15 to 20% more value to our whale users, to our dolphins, they will definitely buy it. You can think that this is just a showcase and the prices are outrageous, but it is not. It is true, and whales are spending a lot of money on web shop. So, we just mentioned that it is very important to be careful about what we are selling on our web shop. So we are not only dependent on the discounts, we are not only depending on the same items we have in the game, but we are creating some exclusive items. So let's summarize these 3 do's and don'ts in these 3 steps. So first, you need to create awareness. We covered the details of it. You need to establish presence, visibility, credibility for your players. And second, first purchase. This is something very, very, very important, and it is the most challenging step. We know that the percentage conversion rate of from like 40% to 60, but making it 60% or more depends on you. So you need to create a value far higher than that you have in mobile so that your players are willing to come visit your store and complete purchases. And third, repeat spending. You have to show them value and motivate them for repeated spending. So it could be something, again, very specific to that specific user group, that audience, or that could be something very, very specific to your whales or dolphins. So we just said that triggering the first purchase is the most difficult thing. So how do we do it? How do we trigger the initial purchase? So, of course, the key is to be being personalized, like being customized for your user's attention. So, of course, you need to come up with an easy and smooth authentication login method, and it should be the same one. It should be the same authentication method that you use in your game. It could be user IDs, it could be social logins, it could be emails. So whatever you use in your game, use the same authentication method for your web shop. And then web gift. Again, everybody loves free gifts. So provide them a free gift as long as they log in. And show them an exclusive offer by analyzing their behavior data in-game. It could be something specific to their favorite characters, favorite weapons, favorite assets, or it could be something really helpful for their challenges in the game. And once we complete the first purchase, once we achieve that really, really hard step, so how do we repeat purchases? There are some triggers to help us to achieve the repeated purchases on and on. So the first one is unique offers. Unique offers are something that are not available in your other shops. So that could be something, again, very special for your user. It could be assets, it could be some currency packages, it could be something very specific to their progresses. So just offer them something unique that they cannot find anywhere else. Loyalty programs. Loyalty programs has various methods to kick off the repeated purchases, but what we suggest is to give loyalty currency to your players. For example, for every transaction they do, just give them a 5% of loyalty currency so that they can spend these currencies for buying catalog items or some specific items that you would like to prefer. And daily rewards. This is exactly the same operations and strategy you use for your mobile game. So you reward your users for their daily logins, right? You can do the same thing for your web shop. You can reward your players for their daily visits and daily logins. Remember, these small habits like visits and logins can lead to bigger, bigger, bigger habits in the end. And fourth, time-limited offers, yet effective always. So we know that time-limited offers could be something related to seasons, something related to holidays, something related to challenges in the game, something related to events. So it could be something really, really limited to a specific period of time, but it creates urgency on spend, and it creates the feeling of being in rush out. So you have to trigger time-limited offers, especially for the whale users, to get more and more spend from them. Of course, we can list like different categories, and we can put some different examples under these triggers, but these are the most effective and pretty easy ones to implement for the initial stage. So, once again, we mentioned awareness and trust are the key. So, we say that you need to change how your players think about web shop, and the methodology you do is starting with awareness, building with trust, and by using the hints and best practices I just mentioned. So it's really about changing the way your players think. I think we're all gamers here, and you just learned about web shop is becoming something very, very popular. For example, there's a game you play frequently, probably every day, and you heard about the company launched a web shop for the game that you love playing, and you just wondered and you saw an exclusive offer that is like far, far, far higher valuable for you compared to the store. Would you buy it? Maybe yes, maybe no. For the 40 to 60%, that is a yes. And if you buy it once and see that that is a safe, that is a trustworthy environment, then you would probably come back and make another purchase, right? So it's all about how we think about web shops, how our players think about web shop. So what we try to convey on our players is that the app is the place where you play, while the web is the place where you pay. So once that understanding is still solid on your user's mind, then you are very, very good to go, and there is nothing preventing you to generate that extra revenue. I can repeat these like best practices and hints on and on, but instead I'll show you some examples so that you'll better understand these practices can be a result of something really successful. So we are first starting with an action survival game, which is Last Turn or Last Day on Earth by Kefir Games. Actually, Kefir Games used very basic awareness techniques, and they used their socials and posted multiple blog posts. And out of these like social posts and blog posts, they managed to drive lots of traffic to their web shop. And once they managed to drive traffic to their web shop, they used promotions and hot deals to trigger the first purchase. Once they triggered the first purchase, they started to analyze the user behavior data and sales funnels. And they determined that some specific promotions are very, very relevant for whale users and dolphins. So they come up with that specific promotion package and started to trigger the repeated purchases. As a result, now they actually started with one region, but right now they extended their web shops across regions and localized them. So they generated tons of extra revenue, but the most important thing is that they increased their engagement, they increased their LTV, and they managed to increase their paying user rate. Another great example comes from Tilting Point with Star Trek Timelines. This is an action strategic game based on a TV hit show, actually. So what Tilting Point did is something more aggressive compared to Kefir, because they chose to use so many different communication channels. They used their website, they added a button to their website, they used their social media channels, they used some forum messaging, they used some blog articles, they used some interviews, and also they decided to come up with a retargeting campaign so that they can target their dolphin and whale users. And as a result, it worked pretty well. This is something we still work on with our account managers, and we are still improving. But as a result of their practices, I would say with the bonus currencies and high-value whale and dolphin packages, they managed to drive 25% of their revenue from webshop. So this is something really, really amazing, considering they just started. And these are just 2 web shops. We launched many web shops with like casual games, skill-based games, and mid-core games. And web shop is something that is really applicable to any genre that is driven by IAP revenue, right? If you have IAP revenue, if you have catalog goods of items to sell, then yes, you can apply web shop to your monetization strategy. But remember, launching a web shop is something you only do at the beginning. You have to manage it. You have to use the hints. You have to use the practices in order to enhance your monetization strategy on the web shop. So this is something really like managing your own in-game economy, right? So it should be the same as how you manage your game economics, game analytics. Please follow the hints and best practices we just shared. Come talk to us, and we can give you some more examples, share more case studies, so that you can better understand how we convey more players to the web shops and how we trigger them to make first purchases, repeated purchases, and how you can really generate extra revenue. And by saying that, I think I'm just going to summarize because I spoke really fast. So I would say webshop is something that is really cost-effective for your mobile game monetization. You can increase and maximize your transactions, and that leads to more and more revenue in return for your pocket because you are saving from the platform fee, because you are increasing the purchase amount, because you are increasing the average number of checks, right? So you have more higher ROI, you have higher RPU. So if you have a game, if you are driving the game with IAP revenue, then you have the web shop. So there is nothing preventing you to generate that extra revenue. And if you have any questions, we have a booth here to take your questions. We have a lovely team to greet you. And if there are any specific questions, I can answer them right now. I really can't see much. All right, I think we don't have any. All right, thank you guys. Thank you for joining me for this session as well, and wishing you a great conference for the rest of today.